Hey everyone, it's VM Campos, comic book fan, San Diego Comic Con fan, and welcome to the weekly VM Campos Comic Book Club. This is the series where I review a comic book, new or old, from my collection. This week, however, is special because it's the week of San Diego Comic Con 2020. Well, we're having Comic Con at home, actually. We can't really go to the convention, so we're going to do it at home. Close enough. As is tradition on the podcast every year during Comic-Con week, I review a Comic-Con souvenir book from back in the day. This week I'm reading the San Diego Comic-Con International 1997 souvenir book. We're going to take a long, loving look, cover to cover, of the souvenir book that I got way back in 1997, 23 years ago, to see how Comic-Con has changed and how it's remained the same. Let's get started. So first, the cover. This is a beautiful Dave Dorman cover. Celebrating Star Wars. This is 1997. At that time, Star Wars, which debuted in 1977, was 20 years old. So there was a big 20th anniversary of Star Wars celebration that year. Dave Dorman is an amazing artist who creates these realistic styles, bringing fantasy things to life. And the cover features Sir Alec Guinness, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, and David Prowse, Darth Vader. So it's the three of them, beautiful cover, very realistic, wonderful Dave Dorman style. All right, the interior. At this point, the interior was all black and white, except for the color covers, and we have all of this amazing stuff to look at. So we have all this amazing stuff. We've got McFarlane toys, we've got an exclusive appearance by Lou Ferrigno, in August, more creations, Chaos Assortment, Lady Death, and Purgatory shown, Evil Ernie and Chastity not shown. So the original influx of those more grown-up toys because of Spawn, the movie toys. Ooh, amazing. Okay, so we've got Now Humans Can Possess Demons. The Demon Awakens by R.A. Salvatore. Running with the Demon, Terry Brooks. Okay, so we've got the usual acknowledgments in the beginning, the president's message. As 1997 celebrates the 28th Comic-Con in San Diego, we hope you will have as much enjoyment in our event as we have had in producing it. So we've got the acknowledgement, David Glazer as usual, the marketing director of marketing and public relations staff. So, in memoriam, Tom French. This, meet the legendary June Foray, who's actually passed away more recently, but she was the voice of various classic Bugs Bunny cartoons back in the day. Guest biographies, Brent Anderson, Dick Ayers, Stephen R. Bissett. Oh, I'm reading his current Taboo series at the moment. Terry Brooks, well, it's not current at the moment. It's from 20 years ago, but I'm finally reading it. Terry Brooks, Kurt Busey, Evan Dorkin, Dave Dorman. There he goes. He's the creator of the cover, and he's getting spotlighted here. Sarah Dyer, who works with Dorkin a lot. Los Brothers Hernandez, James Hong, from Big Trouble in Little China. Stephen Hughes, Joe Kubert, Peter Cooper, David Lapham, Carol Leigh. So these are the people, Joseph Michael Linsner, these are the people, Ralph McQuarrie, that were at Comic-Con 1997, Michael Moorcock, Linda Medley, Win Mortimer, Jorge Perez, Brian Pulido, Alex Ross. Pete Ross was born in Portland. Luis Arroyo, R.A. Salvatore, Kevin Smith, J. Michael Straczynski, George Tuska. In the 3 years since his entry into the indie film community, Kevin Smith has seen it all, from the surprise critical and commercial success he received for his debut film Clerks, to the disappointing critical and commercial drubbing he took on his second outing, Mallrats. And, this is this classic comic strip right here. I remember this. Okay, so in addition to those biographies, who else do we have here? Jonan Vasquez, Paul Verhoeven, he was at Comic-Con, amazing. Mark Waid, and Al Williamson. So in addition to those biographies, they also have the various short stories and things. I remember this one, Carol Leigh talking to Kevin Smith here. I hope the guy who wrote the movie Chasing Amy shows up so I can discuss comic titles by women with him. Idiosyncratic routine, get out of town. Real women name their books. Slutburger, Dirty Plot, Good Girls, Naughty Bits, Twisted Sisters, Tits, and I'm in hell. I've been trying to find this for such a long time to send it to Kevin. Like, hey, did you ever know you were in a Comic-Con souvenir book talking to Carol Leigh? So I found it. It was 1997. I swear I looked through all my old books and I never could find it. Oni Press. It's all about comics. So this is an early Oni Press. Logo designed by Dave Gibbons. Never knew that. So clearly back in the day, everything was black and white, and some people took to that medium a lot better than others because some of these are obviously in full color and they don't look very good in black and white. The Will Eisner Comic Industry Awards and overview. Who were the winners in '96? The Eltingville Comic Book Science Fiction Fantasy Horror and Role-Playing Club. Bring Me the Head of Boba Fett by Evan Dorkin. This is from Instant Piano number 3. Got all the various other ones. Let's see, for the 97 nominees: Empty Love Stories, Joyride and Other Stories, Patty Cake, Rag Mop, Sergio Aragonis Destroys the TC, and Massacres Marvel. That's fun. Then we got the Eisner Hall of Fame. Who's in here? Carl Barks, of course. Milton Caniff, yep. R. Crumb, Steve Ditko, of course. Jerry Siegel, Joe Shuster, of course. We've got Tintin Has Come to America. Visit our unique store featuring Tintin collectibles from Europe. And it's the Globetrotter USA in San Francisco. The Church of Star Wars. So, Star Wars Memories, 20 years. Say it ain't so. People are talking about Star Wars in 1997, that it's 20 years old. And here we are in the year 2020. We're over 40 years now. Amazing. We've got a Milk and Cheese in Darth Vader Overdrive. So Evan Dorkin does a Star Wars parody. It's a huge one. It's several pages. So I remember Milk and Cheese. So funny, so violent, so full of lactose. I Want You for Another 20 Years. Star Wars, 1997. Well, that's definitely going to happen. Beautiful 20th anniversary by artist Hunger. Here we have one by Molly Keeley. Journal Sand Trooper number S273TST. Paul Way. Oh, here we go. We've got a Patrick McDonald Mutts plus Star Wars thing going on. Ricardo Delgado. We have Deanna Vick. Steve Owen. Francesco. Monty Moore. This is definitely one that probably looks better in real life than in stark black and white. That's how the Souvenir was back in the day. Jeffrey Moy, Robert Blancas, Jay Brandenburg. You know, I always wanted to get in on the Souvenir book, and I never did. I remember I did submit to it, but I never actually got it. This is hilarious. Rick Schmitz. Perhaps you will not fail me, Admiral. So many dead admirals that Vader force choked until he gets to the maintenance crew. Michael Biero. Mitch Biero. We've got Yoda versus R2-D2. John Morris. Don Yee. Beautiful cover there with Lucas as Obi-Wan Kenobi. And we've got Scott Bierstadt, I believe. Yeah, these are the Troll Lords. Wow, in 1997, people were still like caring about Troll Lords? That was such an 80s thing. Langford Foss, Jeff Rebner, Bill Mouse, Joe Chiappetta, James Silvani. James Silvani, he works on various Disney properties, Darkwing Duck, and he's still around in the industry. I follow him on Twitter, actually. Peter Guyard, Scott Sava, Gabriel Gecko, Gene Gonzalez and Rowe, Rick Hayberg, Dave Garcia, Alex Loreza. Here's Darth Vader versus Dracula. He's saying, "Look into my eyes." And Vader replies, "I find your lack of faith disturbing." Sure. Romeo Tangal, Christopher Berkeley. And then we have Al Feldstein, the true Crypt Keeper. So not only do they talk about various things like Star Wars is a big thing going on, but there's also like the EC comics and horror comics and stuff. So we get these various themes of what that every year that Comic-Con talks about. Big anniversaries of things, smaller anniversaries. So Comic-Con International salutes horror comics. Best wishes in '97. So we get a history of the thing in question, and then various people doing their interpretations of things. Some of them more famous than others, some much more impressive than others. This is one of the things that I really love about the Souvenir books. In 2020, we're getting it as a downloadable PDF. Ooh, Bat and Lash. He did his Wolf and Bird comics. He passed on recently. But anyway, the Souvenir book this year is in Lee Mars. She was from underground women's comics in the 70s. And then we've got Bob Rausch doing a pretty cool Elvira paper cutout doll sort of thing. Own one of the last shares of the legendary Marvel Entertainment Group. The Marvel stock certificate has long been a favorite among comic art collectors. They recognize the beautiful artwork. So you could buy Marvel stock and get it for $79. Toy Biz at $79, Disney at $159, Coca-Cola at $139. So one share each of these. Obviously Marvel is no longer publicly traded, so that's kind of an interesting collectible. Independently Wealthy, Michael Allred talks about Astro-esque indies and artistic integrity. So here is like an indie publisher sort of section in 1997. Now this was like, I remember this, the 90s, the resurgence of these indie comics. We have a Shannon Wheeler Too Much Coffee Man strip. Craig Clark. Scott Young. We have Joshua Quagmire showing off Cutie Bunny, totally nude. A salute to those great low-budget indie films. In this scene isn't even in the script. Cutie Bunny versus the Saucer Man, Scene 5. Bill Knapp. Donna Barr. She worked on Desert Peach. And here we've got a mix-up between Dracula and Darth Vader, I suppose. Great! We can't do the crossover sequel until we pay off the credit cards. Kevin Hahn, Alan White. Then The Blood is Life, Mr. Renfield, celebrating the Dracula Centennial. So in 97, we're counting 100 years of Dracula. We got an old Nosferatu drawing. Then we've got Scott Severde doing Little Dracula and Helldog. Bruce Patterson. Mike Perkins, Anthony Zierhut, David T. Puddlewitz, celebrating Vlad the Impaler, Dawn Brown, Jill Thompson doing her Scary Godmother, love that, and reading a story to a little kid, beautifully illustrated of course. Stan Sakai's doing a wonderful horror piece, love his stuff as well. He works on Usagi Yojimbo. We've got Chris Smigliano, Armando Nort, Vampirella versus Dracula. We've got John Hibbink with Elvira, J.H. Williams doing a beautiful Bela Lugosi Dracula. Bob Hannon. I remember this one. Ken McDonald. I remember this one. When I was learning Photoshop, I remember I scanned this and tried to colorize it, learning how to do computer colorization. I definitely remember this. I wonder if I still have that file from so long ago. Jim Amash. Gabriel Hernandez, probably from the Hernandez Bros, right? Chris Silla. Mark Nodell. David Winslet doing a Count Dracula. Remembering Dracula, The Other Batman by Ruben Gerard. Andy Kuhn, very big mouth open for Nosferatu. Brett Anderson, 1897 to 1997. John Workman. We've got those that passed on. Let's see, Andre Franquin, Belgian cartoonist remembered fondly for his work on the series Spirou. Kurt Swan, for nearly 3 decades a primary Superman artist. Jack Abel, since the 50s respected inker for a number of companies. In later years, proofreader. Mike Parobeck, influential artist most associated with Batman adventures. Mark Grunwald, Marvel writer and editor fondly remembered for his fan projects and Handbook of the Marvel Universe. And Stan Drake, co-created the comic strip The Heart of Juliet Jones and most recently the artist for Blondie. There is a Building a World for Readers, a message from the San Diego Comic-Con International, cartoonists across America, and the Center for the Book in the Library of Congress. There's a spot for autographs at the end. Then we've got the See You Next Year in August 1998. Also the Comic Book Expo, the Alternative Press Expo. Terry Brooks' bestseller is No Fantasy. And the back cover has previews. Wow, do where do you find all this stuff? From previews, of course, they're still around. And back then they were at booth 1201 for a free certified cool tattoo and more. So there you go, that was the San Diego Comic-Con International 1997 souvenir book. Lots of nostalgia here. 1997 was the 4th year that I went to Comic-Con. That was 23 years ago. So I've been going to Comic-Con for a little while now. This is the first time that I don't actually go, but we all get to go thanks to Comic-Con at home. I'm going to be enjoying a lot of these virtual panels, checking out the cosplay, the merch, the panels, and everything, and I hope to see you there. In 2021, I hope to see you there in person at the San Diego Comic-Con International. This has been the weekly VM Campos Comic Book Club, and I'll see you next week.